And the fact is that every one of us can understand sacredness. We can. We don't have to have a big definition of it. When my kids were little, and even myself, I remember, I was a young little boy when I remember having a Winnie the Pooh bear that I thought was the most fantastic thing in the world. I carried that Winnie the Pooh bear with me everywhere. We moved so much when I was a little kid. That Winnie the Pooh bear went everywhere that we went. And I'm not kidding. That Pooh bear went through everything. In fact, by the time I was maybe the fourth or fifth grade, my mom threw away the Winnie the Pooh bear. I still am bitter about that, to be entirely honest. But there was nothing impressive about this Pooh bear. In fact, he was missing an eye. It was kind of an interesting thing. But he was sacred to me. And if anybody touched that Winnie the Pooh bear or anybody hid that, I was overwrought with fear and anxiety. I remember as a teenager, I held music as being sacred. So my Walkman, some of you are not familiar with this, but years ago, they used to take this plastic that had like recorded tape on it, and they called it a cassette. And you would put it in the Walkman, and you would carry this thing around with you, and you would have to switch sides if you weren't privileged enough to have one that switched on its own. But this Walkman, I would carry with me everywhere, and if somebody touched it, if somebody made fun of it, it was like a sacred emblem to me. As an adult, our remotes are sacred. I mean, the chair we sit in is sacred. It's one of those things that there are times in my house and in my home where I have safe space that's sacred that I want no one to be a part of. We all understand sacredness, and we all recognize that's what God is calling us to see ourselves as. You and I, we don't make decisions based on whether or not we think God will crush us, or whether or not we think that God will love us more, love us less. We make decisions based on the fact God has already set us apart. You and I are not earning the sacred space. You and I are not earning a sacred status. We've already been given that. And Peter says to those listening, you have to act like what you have become. It is your job, it is my job, it is everyone's job.